Welcome to the Luminary Podcast. I'll be your host. My name is Annie Perry. I'm a professional conduit of light, interdimensional, extraterrestrial, multidimensional being of light, just like you. All things in the universe is me. All things in the universe is you. Welcome back, beautiful beings of light. I am coming to you from Amsterdam. Beautiful, dreamy, stormy, rainy Amsterdam. I do let the weather do whatever it wants when I know that I'm not going to be outside walking around, because I should be inside recording podcasts and activations and wonderful things for all of you beautiful people. But I am truly so grateful to be here, to have this place and this space to record these episodes for you guys, especially while they are fresh in my mind. And as I have said on the most recent podcast episode, I am here staying at the home of Maria and Sergey, who are the family of light. That is where you can find them on Instagram if you would like to follow along all of the incredible things that are being born through them. And it is my honor to be a part of their mastery initiation. It's my honor to be their friend, to be in their home, to be not just accepted and invited into their lives, but to feel truly loved and seen and heard and celebrated by them. And so I want to take a moment. Can we just have a moment here on the podcast of centering, taking a deep breath? If you have received from this podcast at any point in time before, but especially the most recent episode that I recorded here in their home, just take a moment, sending infinite love, light, and gratitude towards Maria and Sergey, towards the creations that are being born through them that are going to impact the entire planet. Let's just send them love, gratitude, prosperity, abundance, and success in everything that they do, everything that they touch. It is 100% coming back to them. They are going to receive 10 times what they have already put out, and they put out so lovingly, with no reservations, with no holdbacks, with no pullbacks. They hold that frequency of divine unconditional love, and I am so grateful and appreciative to be the receiver of that unconditional love and to reflect that back to them through this podcast and through this beautiful audience, feeling that love, that gratitude, that appreciation, sending that blessing towards them. Thank you, all beautiful beings of divine light. I know you guys are the energy workers. You really are. And so I can already feel all that you are conjuring in the quantum field to send them those blessings, divine love, divine light, highest frequency for the highest and greatest good of all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If this is your first time tuning into the Luminary Podcast, welcome. And if you joined in on that without even knowing anything about who I am or what's going on here, not to worry, you're going to receive 10 times what you just put out for complete strangers, people that you don't know in a place and time that you don't know, because we are all brothers and sisters in light. You will receive 10 times what you just put out back to you, and that is my blessing for each and every one of you. I love you, I love you, I love you. And if you want to know more about what's going on here at the Luminary Podcast, there are over 160 episodes for you to dive into on the podcast apps. There are exclusive activations and meditations available for you on my YouTube channel, which is called Wellspring Official. And you can find all of my master classes, courses, portals, one-to-one work, very special, very exclusive, very rare, and activations. The pre-recorded activations are available at all times, and occasionally you might stumble upon wellspringofficial.com and find the custom activations open, calling your name as they do. They are truly their own consciousness, and that is where I channel an activation from your spiritual guides. I channel your spiritual guides themselves, speaking to you, sending you the messages that you need to hear, sending you light language and energy work to really rearrange some of your DNA, some of your energy fields, energetic bodies, sacred geometry, all that is you. They will work on that, and that is packaged together into a frequency recording and sent to you. So there are lots of very special, very golden energy offerings on wellspringofficial.com, especially the portals. The portals are 1-year portals where you get to go in and receive the transformation of a lifetime, taking my courses and master classes, activations, exclusive energy activations, exclusive podcast episodes. I don't know if you guys knew that, but in the prosperity portal, there is an exclusive money podcast inside of there. So much goodness inside of the portals. Those are 1-year long containers for the souls who are ready for absolute transformation. And that's what you're going to get, because anyone who goes in, like a day later, they call me and they're like, I'm not even the same person I was when I walked in. So it's a portal of transformation. All of those beautiful things are available again at wellspringofficial.com, and you can come and hang out with me every single day, usually, normally, every single day, and you can follow some of my pictures from my travels around the world right now. I am in Europe, and I have been here for the last 4 weeks, and I will be here for some time to come, and then I will be in some other places around the world, so you can come hang out with me on Instagram at I am the Wellspring. So it all kind of ties together. Well, I am very excited to dive into part 3 of the Light series, where I am sharing my experiences, the transformations, the energy work, the grid work, all of the initiations that I am going through on my mastery journey. And that is the journey that I am on. That is why I am traveling right now. And so this will be a conduit of light. And the other 2 parts are a family of light and a spiral of light. This is where we're really going to get into the deep shit, the really deep transformations that I had to go through alone. So there's no more blissfulness of being with the amazing retreats, the amazing groups. I am now in this journey on my own, at least until I come to Amsterdam and am reunited with Maria and Sergey, like I have been for the last week. But there were 3 weeks in there where I was completely traveling on my own, which is not something that I am new to, but as a psychic channel, an extremely sensitive being, it was a vastly different experience than any of the travels I had taken before my spiritual awakening, when I was, yes, still sensitive, but fairly unconscious, and my nervous system for most of my life was just accustomed to being in a state of fight or flight or flee or fawn or do something, because now you're in survival mode. And I have worked, this is going to be key, I have worked, hold on to that word, for 5 years to clear a lot of these energies out of my nervous system, to re-regulate my nervous system. And I had created this cozy, perfect home with everything that makes me comfortable, everything that makes me happy. And it's like my little hobbit home, okay? It was just my perfect little place in suburban Seattle, a little bit north of Seattle, and in the suburbs, and it was just my safe, cozy little space. And I have been in that space for almost 4 years. I had not traveled extensively as a psychic, A lot of you guys know my story. I was traveling in 2020 when my spiritual awakening started. I moved to Florida because I have no idea why. And then I moved to Connecticut because why not? And then in 2021, I was called to go to the desert. That was my last big trip. And in the desert is where I had my extraterrestrial contact, is where I was initiated into being a psychic channel, taught how to read energy centers, open and surf through the Akashic records whenever I felt like. And I walked out of the desert and was like, I am psychic. And somehow so many of you allowed me to read your energy, and everything just kept rolling from there. But after that trip, I moved to Seattle. I moved back to Seattle. That's where I say that I'm from. My family is from California, but I'm really from Seattle. That's where I grew up. That's where I was born. Yes, I've lived many other places, but that's really like, if you were to ask me where are you from, that's what I would say. Even though we're jumping into the future. So as I know that I'm moving somewhere else after this trip, I've actually stopped feeling the identification with Seattle, but I'm getting a little outside of time. So I want to tell this to you in the linear story. So after I had moved back to Seattle, I did not really travel. I mean, things were still kind of locked down a little bit. People were still wearing masks by the time I got back there. You know, we were like coming out of 2020 and we were coming into a brand new world, right? And I really just worked from summer of 2021. So for 4 years, I really just worked. There's that keyword again. I worked on myself. I worked on my psychic gifts, and I worked on my business, and all I did really that entire time for 4 years, and I didn't even realize it, I just worked. That was all that I did. That was all that I knew. It was all that I could keep doing, was to just keep working on things. And so when it came into 2025, my spirit guides really said, this is the year of receiving the fruits of your labor. And whenever your spirit guides say something like that to you, and that phrase starts to come through in your energy, because it will eventually come through to you. But it basically is your spirit guide's very nice way of saying, you've been working too much. We have to balance your energy with just receiving. Because when you're working, you're giving. You're always giving, and you're focused on what can I give next? What can I give next? What can I give next? And if you do that too much for too long, even if you are doing the work, right? The inner work. I'm doing the inner work. I'm journaling every day. I have a 5-step morning practice for the perfect spiritual life. You're not in receiving mode when you're doing those things. And so I'm like, ooh, the fruits of my labor. This is going to be so fun. And they're like, you're going to travel a lot this year. And I say, ooh, that is going to be so much fun. I can't wait. You're going to make new friends this year. Oh my God, I love that for me. Yay. This is going to be so much fun. Okay, but now you have to actually receive all of it. And when you're traveling, you're not going to be able to work as much as you used to. Wait, what do you mean? That can't possibly be true. I'll take my microphone with me and my computer too. And I will work while I'm traveling. And I will help the whole world while I am on my mastery journey. Oh, I just love my spirit guides because they are me. And I know that they love me so much. And they're really like, this is going to be for your highest good. So where I left off on this story is that we had finished our retreat in Avebury, an incredible retreat with activations with JJ. Again, if you don't follow JJ and you love the extraterrestrial, interdimensional activations, JJ's doing all of it. She's doing all of the things. She channels all of the beings from a high frequency, and she's the activator. She is the activator. So make sure that you go find her on either her YouTube, which is incredible, or her Instagram. So I went to her retreat, had an absolutely phenomenal experience. I mean, my heart was so full. I was so full of transformation. I was so full of incredible interdimensional experiences. I mean, I'm talking to dragons, I'm talking to tree spirits. I mean, I'm out there in Wiltshire, England, just having the most incredible experience of my life. My heart was so full. It was so full of gratitude. And I started to do something that was like a pullback, but I honestly thought this is just me expressing my gratitude. And I really want to teach this to you because, boy, have I been learning those lessons. So I start to say, I'm so grateful. If this is all that I get, I am so grateful. If this is it, if this is the end of the journey and it's time to go back home, I am just so grateful. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. And I was so grateful. But my goodness, my guides are like, you already know that this is like going to be a long journey, that this is going to take several weeks. And you're here on day like 10 or 11 and you're like, and if I'm going home now, I am just so grateful. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. And I was, but I was trying to cover up the restless feeling of I need to get back home so I can get back to work. I need to get back to a place where I can just work. I feel like it's time for me to go home. I've received enough, and now it's time for me to get back to work. My guides were like, you already know that you ain't going anywhere besides further along on this journey, and you can go with resistance or not. And so I did choose resistance. I did because, and I talked about this in the A Family of Light episode, what I discovered was that there was this glass ceiling on how much I felt like I could receive from others. I had been in relative isolation during the course of my spiritual awakening, which obviously happened during COVID, and most of my business was working with people virtually. So I was unknowingly totally imbalanced in my receiving. I really felt like I need to always be paying for what I am doing. And if it's not with money, then it can be with energy, it can be with gifting to other people, it can be with loving other people, it can be with serving them in some way, it can be cleaning for them. Like it could be all of these different things as long as I am paying for myself to be in whatever space I am occupying. Have y'all ever felt that way? Okay, right? You go to work and you're like, I need to be productive because I need to pay for the space that I'm occupying. I need to be rushing through the grocery store so that I am paying for the space that I'm occupying. I need to be driving faster so that I am paying for the space that I'm occupying on the road. By making sure that I'm not in anyone's way and I'm not taking up any space and I'm not the person going slowly and I'm not going to inconvenience anyone, I'm just going to pay for the space. And then you get home and you're like, I need to clean my house and I need to cook dinner and I need to serve whoever else is here and I need to help them. And if they have a problem, I'm going to give them a bunch of advice because I need to pay for the space that I'm occupying. And if you get invited to a party, you immediately bring a gift and you ask, what can I do? And how can I be polite? And how can I push my chair in? And how can I clean up after myself? Because wherever I am, I need to pay for the space that I'm occupying. And it is honestly challenging to see when everyone else is doing it. And when we are taught that that is how you be a polite person in society. Now, what I'm not saying is that you go in the complete opposite direction and you just make a huge mess and watch as other people clean it up and you're just a total nightmare to be around. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is space that you can occupy for free. And no, I'm not talking about going and sitting on a park bench somewhere and being like, free space. There is space all throughout your day, all throughout your life, that you're allowed to occupy completely for free. Free anything. Free. The feeling of freedom, the frequency of freedom, it's yours to claim. But because it costs nothing You cannot buy it. You cannot pay for it. You cannot bargain for it. You can only get it one way, by receiving it for free. It can only be incoming. It can only be incoming. You cannot give to try to get it, right? That's the whole concept. That's the whole energy of something being free. It can only be received. Well, to receive something is the highest form of worthiness. To receive is your God self. When you receive something, when you truly, completely, fully, presently, absolutely receive it without trying to pay for it, without trying to give to get, that is when you are your God self. You can feel gratitude, you can feel appreciation, you can feel love, you can feel light, you can feel bliss, you can feel ecstasy. But the moment that you try to make a move to give, to get, to pay for it, to pay for what you're receiving, to prove that you deserve it, to prove that you are so grateful for it, the moment you try to make that move, you're outside of receiving energy. You're outside of your God self. You're outside of God mode, which I have learned is really the highest frequency you can be. Because when you are receiving, and I know you've given so much, you've created so much. When you receive, you actually close the loop on the creation. That's why you're in God mode. That's why you're God self. God is creator. You are God. You are creator. But what we rarely do on this planet that is imbalanced in how much of the masculine, right? The masculine side is the giver side. The feminine side is the receiving side. When they come together, they are oneness. They are God. When you come together in your giving and receiving, you are oneness. You are God. And we are so good. We are so good at the giving. You are so fucking good at the giving. You are an A++, 100%. Like, what more could you possibly try? You are so good at the giving. You're so good. I mean, you've been on this planet for thousands of years, mastering the giving part, mastering the creating part, mastering giving all of the advice and the guidance and the how can I help yous and all of those things. We are so fucking good at it on this planet everywhere we go. Okay, this is my 22nd country. Everywhere I go, everyone is so good at the giving part. They're so good at it. Even the people trying to pick my pocket in a tourist area first distract me with a little show or with a note that they want to give to me, right? We're so good at it. We absolutely suck at receiving. We suck at it. We suck at it because there is total unworthiness around it. All over the planet, everywhere that I look. I was just looking out the window today and I was watching as these women were just continuously all day cleaning. And they've been cleaning their whole house every day since I got here. So for like 7 days straight, and they've probably been doing it for years and years and years. They're just constantly cleaning something. And if I'm not careful, it makes me want to get up and start cleaning. There's a time and a place and a space for your giving. And there's a time and a space and a place for your receiving. We really suck at the receiving part. Let me show you, because I pride myself on being a fairly conscious, ever evolving conduit of light type of person. As I have said, I have been doing the work, right? The giving part for over 5 years, just when it comes to the spiritual aspect, just when it comes to consciousness, energy work, clearing, psychic work, all of this world, right? And the moment that it was time for me to just receive, there's no one around now, Annie, for you to try to give to. I fell right on my fucking face, right out of the gate, just fell right on my face. So after our retreat finished in Avebury, we're just glowing, the light is lighting, everything, the signs are signing, the rainbows are in the sky. It's just beautiful. And I'm telling my guides, if this is all that there is, I'm so grateful. And maybe it's time to go back home. Maybe we should just pack up and buy a ticket back home. La da 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 da. My guides are like, you already know that this is a journey and there are more places that you are going. You can feel it in your bones. You can feel it in that place that's deeper than any of the irrational actions that I may have tried to take, like booking a flight home and running away from receiving without anyone around that I could give to. Because while I was on those retreats, I would be receiving and I'm just being so like, this is so amazing. This is so incredible. And now let me give. And so, and I love everything that I have given. My guides are like, you're so great at giving, right? We just talked about that. We're all so great at giving, but now can you only receive, because there's not going to be anyone around except maybe strangers if you start forcing your giving onto strangers. And I do it all the time. I give out packets of divine love light everywhere that I go. I cannot pass anyone that I think is having a hard day, a hard time, a hard life, and not send them a packet of divine love light energy and frequency that's going to change their whole life. And still, everywhere that I go, I'm trying to give and give and give and pay for the space that I am occupying. So many of us talked about, like, what are we going to do after the Avebury retreat? And I said, I'm going to go to Bath. I knew that I was going to go to Bath. I have always wanted to go to Bath, and I wanted to go just for myself. There's no retreat there. There's nothing particularly spiritual happening in Bath, but it was nearby where I already was. It was like a 30-minute train ride, and I was like, I want to go to Bath. And so I went to Bath. I literally showed up. I have no hotel booked. I just show up. It's so beautiful. I'm getting the feel. I'm getting the vibe, right? That's what I'm telling myself. Like, I just got to feel out the city first, and then I'll book a hotel once I kind of know where what's what is. My guides are like, sure, that sounds like a great plan. You do that. So I show up in town. I've got my luggage. I'm rolling around Bath, and I'm like, this is so cool. I love it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful city. Very ancient. The Romans created the first bath in Bath, and now 2,000 years later we call it Bath, and it's a beautiful city. Most of it was built up in the Georgian era, and so that's like the Bridgerton era. Okay, if you're wondering, that's like the Pride and Prejudice era. And you guys know me, I'm a Pride and Prejudice girly, and so I was just in heaven. I was like, wow, everything is so, early 19th century. This is just incredible. It's beautiful. The architecture is amazing. Of course I want to stay here. So now I'm starting to get antsy and impatient, and I'm starting to contract, and I'm looking around on my phone. I've got Wi-Fi in this little coffee shop, and I'm looking around. I'm just like, all right. I can't handle waiting anymore. And so I just book a hotel. I immediately know as soon as I get the confirmation, like, you went into a state of contraction and now you're going to get what comes out of a state of contraction, which is less than ideal. All the way up to this moment, I'm like floating on the cloud, but it was like I reached my maximum, the maximum that I could, whether it was trust or receiving or relaxing, whatever it was, whatever combination I needed, I reached the glass ceiling. I reached the maximum. I was like, I just can't handle this anymore. I've got to try to control this situation. So I booked this hotel. I'm like, oh, fuck. I can already feel that that the energy is not aligned. I go to the hotel. Of course, I fucking hate it. I hated it. I even told my client who I was talking to, shout out to Rick. Love you, Rick. I was like, I'm in a hotel. I made a mistake. I made an energetic mistake. I fucked up, and I'm in a hotel that I absolutely hate. It was the exact reflection of the energy that I was in when I booked it, which was contracted, as in small, very masculine, very modern. And that was just not the fucking vibe when you're in Bath. Oh, and there was like hardly any window either. So it was like claustrophobia vibes. What I learned in my time in the UK is that pretty much all of the hotel rooms are small. And good luck to you, sir, if you're going to find a big hotel room somewhere in England. I don't know where it's going to be, but all of the variety of places that I stayed, everything was, quote, small. And I think it's because I come from, quote, American big. It's just a different world. And so it was small, it was cramped, it was very masculine, it was very modern. There was hardly any window. And I'm in there and I'm like, oh, fuck it. Like I can see how the energy just tip toppled right in front of me. I fumbled the ball right out of my hands. All right, let's just like unpack, relax, and make the best of this. So I refocus my energy and I just start receiving bath. It's so beautiful. Go all over town, very walkable city. You're just receiving. There's nothing you can really do when you're a tourist to try and give. And of course, you're going to pay for things, but you really can't try to pay your way, the space that you're occupying, right? And many tourists I know do it, and I've done it before. But really, I was just trying to go into that receiver mode. I'm just receiving the beauty. I'm just receiving the vibes. I'm just receiving the energy, the frequency. It's lovely here. I go up to the Botanic Gardens. I do some grid work, which was amazing. I started implanting small 8-point stars. See, it took me about 5 hours before I was like, what can I do for the city? Because now I've reached my other maximum occupancy of receiving. So now I'm up here doing grid work. I'm inserting these little 8-point stars. It's so lovely. And I'm like, look, I'm giving back. And my guides are like, they must be pulling their etheric hair out because I am just insufferable when it comes to the fact that I'm going to do energy work every single place that I go. And this is my cross to bear. I know it sounds like a silly little cross, but it really was like, just keep listening, okay? So I'm doing this energy work for Bath and I love it and it's so great. And there's just this part of me that is so used to giving that it's like I don't dislove that part of me. I don't think anything bad about it. I think all good things. But my guides are like, can you stretch to include in your love the love of receiving, the love of just relaxing for a fucking second, the love of that energy too? Can you widen your love? Can you actually love more than just what you've always known? And that was a challenge because one, there are many lower frequencies in this reality that teach you that you should not be that way, that that's lazy, that that's wrong, et cetera, et cetera. And I've done so much inner work around that. I grew up in a very patriarchal home that was like, if you aren't earning your tiny little cupboard to live in, you damn orphan. Like, it's like I had parents too. It's like, if you aren't paying for the tiny little cupboard that you live in and scrubbing those floors, you goddamn kid, then you don't deserve to be here. So it's like coming from the desert and someone being like, why are you so freaked out that now you're on the top of an ice cap? So I keep recentering myself into just receiving. Recentering into receiving, recentering into relaxing, relax. And by the time my stay was done at the hotel that I didn't like, there's an opening at this beautiful hotel. I mean, it was perfect. I gave them like a 5-star review. It was just absolutely lovely. I loved it. Now, for some reason, I can't remember what the name of it is, but if you're ever going to Bath, just hit me up and I'll find the name for you. See, I just want to give to you. So I go to this new hotel and I'm like, all right, I've just got to rewrite the energy here. So I've got to stay a few more days than I planned. And I've just got to like get into the vibe. And so I'm in this beautiful hotel and I'm like, this is the fucking vibe. Like, yes, I'm so grateful. I'm literally jumping up and down inside of my hotel room because it is so the energy that I wanted to feel, right? We're in this like Georgian style building and the rooms are all remodeled to reflect that. And was just fucking delightful. and I go to sleep. And in the middle of the night, a ghost wakes me up. This woman's spirit comes to me while I'm in this beautiful hotel room. I'm finally relaxed. I'm in my fluffy robe. You guys know when I travel, I'm that girl in the fluffy robe, right? We were doing bathrobe coaching because even when I'm in my fluffy robe, I still feel like I need to give to you. So I'm like in my fluffy robe, I'm like falling asleep. The spirit comes to me and she wants to talk. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this place has a ghost problem. Like, I'm just starting to relax. I'm just starting to nail the frequency. I'm in my bathrobe, lady. Like, of all the places and all the time that you've been here, which for her, she'd been there for like hundreds of years. Like, did it have to be right now? And so, of course, I go straight back to doing what I know, what my habit is. And I don't know that I would change anything besides probably creating more space, right? Because in order to receive, you have to have space to receive. And so what's happening in my energy that I didn't realize at the time, but I realized upon reflection, was that you're giving, which is a fullness in the energy. And then you need space in your energy to receive. And the amount of space that I was allowing myself to have for receiving was just kind of pitiful. Okay. It was pathetic, right? I'm just like, I just had an amazing shower, amazing dinner. I mean, we're talking like 3 hours. That's not nearly enough space compared to all of the thousands of hours and days and months of my life that I've spent giving. And so the spirit comes to me and she wants to talk. And I'm like, oh, I don't talk to spirits, which is true. I don't talk to spirits. If there's a spirit in your house, in your home, in Bath, in wherever you go, which by the way, there shouldn't be any in Bath now. But if wherever you go, there's a spirit and you're like, the spirit is trying to talk to me, don't talk to the spirit. The spirits that get stuck in the astral realm, which is the realm in between our world, 3D, and the etheric realm, which is where they're supposed to go, the light. The ones who get stuck there are confused, and they will lead you on a rabbit trail and tell you like there's all these things that they need and they just need some help and they just need this and this and this. And the truth is they don't really know what they need because the astral realm, the 4D, is a very confusing place. You've been in weird dreams before, right? Where you believed things that weren't real or weren't real in this reality. And so they get all tied up in the stories, in the whatever it is, and they really love to attach to beings who are in 3D, and they love to tell you, like, I just need some help from you. You're the only one that can save me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? And I'm grateful that I learned a lot about spirits and clearing them out and getting them all back to the etheric realm. And so I don't get tied up in those kinds of situations. So she comes to me at night and I'm like, no, I don't talk to spirits. I didn't realize there was a ghost problem here. And then I start to tap into the astral realm in Bath and I'm like, oh shit, they have a real bad ghost problem. Okay, they have a ton of spirits. It's a very old city, right? It's like 2,000 years old. The Romans were there, like building the baths, and then you have all the people that have lived there ever since, and no one had ever cleared Bath. No one had ever drained the bath. Okay, this is why we need more light workers. This is why you need to take my psychic channeling course so that you can help me start clearing some of these places out. And I'm like, oh God, we've got a ghost problem here. So I do what I do, which is I call in a certain number. I will usually just channel what number is needed of angelic legions, and the angelic legions will show up immediately and I tell them what to do and then they do it and it's done. And so I really don't have to do a lot. I don't need to escort every single soul into the etheric realm. That would, oh my God, I don't even want to think about that. I don't even want to think about that kind of job. So I call in, what was it, spirit guides for Bath? It was probably like 77 legions. Call in 77 legions. I tell them, please escort all of the souls stuck in the astral realm within, I think I did all of Wiltshire County. No. I did all of Bath, and then later I would do Wiltshire County because Bath is actually a little bit outside of Wiltshire County. So I did all of Bath first. So I did, all of the city limits and maybe some of the outer areas, clear all of those, take all of the soul stuck in the 4D to the light into 5D. Etheric realm is what I call it. This is all done in a couple of seconds. From the moment the spirits tried to talk to me, I'm already talking to the angelic legions. I'm already deploying them, which is what I call it. You can call it whatever you want, but they're doing the work and they love to be deployed and they love to be asked to do things. And they do need our permissions as humans to do some of the work here. So it is considered helpful to have someone like me on this side of the 3D things to be able to give them those directives. But even though it only took a couple of seconds, a few of my own thoughts to do this, I could already feel that I had collapsed a ton of the energy and a ton of the space that I had been trying to build for receiving, because now I'm back into doing, now I'm back into giving. Now I've just given like 8,000 souls assistance and help. Yeah, Bath was a super haunted place. Okay, 8,000, which if you think over 2,000 years is really not that many. But so now I've just given that much assistance. So now if you think of yourself as this energetic space, now I've filled in a ton of my own energetic space with giving. And now I'm tired, even though those few thoughts were so quick, it still is energy that was given. And now I'm tired and now I'm back into giving mode when really I just wanted to be in receiving mode. So you can see I'm flip-flopping my way through Bath. I spent like 2 more days there. It is such a beautiful city. When you go and receive it. And now it's not haunted as fuck. So you're really going to have such a great time. So I spend a few more days there. I try to leave. I go to the train station. The city doesn't want me to leave. The city has a consciousness. The city, all the cities in the world have a consciousness. The cities that I'm from are so young and so new, they don't really have a fully formed consciousness. They're not really like, holding on to my leg whenever I try to leave. But Bath is really, really old. And so it has a fairly fully formed consciousness. It has an awareness to it. And it was like, you should stay. You should stay here and be our resident psychic. You should stay here. And if any other souls get stuck in the 4D, then you can clear them out. And you did all of this amazing grid work. And we're just so grateful. You should stay here. I got stuck at the train station for 7.5 hours. I'm literally calling my mom. It's this beautiful sunny day in paradise, in Bath, in England. Like, it could not be any more dreamy than this. I'm calling my mom crying at like 7 p.m. because I cannot leave Bath. And all I wanted in that moment was to fucking leave. I don't want to be held hostage by a city, as well-meaning as the city is and as beautiful as it is. I don't want to be held hostage. I don't want to be the resident psychic. It's not even legal for me to stay there for too long. It's kind of like that saying, like, giver's going to give and taker's going to take. Well, the city itself had no problem receiving from me, so it was like, I'll just receive more and more and more from you. And I was like, actually, I'm totally freaked out because I've never talked to a city with this much consciousness. I have not been to a city as old as Bath since I became psychic. I'm freaking out. I want to leave and I want to get away from you. You guys, in hindsight, it's actually really funny. Anyways, eventually I leave. I go to a younger city. I go to Swindon, which is lovely little, like, kind of suburban town, and it's near Avebury. It is the same city that I stayed at when I went out to the stones at Avebury. My guides are like, rest here. You're totally freaked out from what happened. Rest here for a couple of nights, and in the morning, go out to the stones, and the stones are going to restore you. I think because of what happened during the last day in Bath and just an accumulation of the stress really got to me. And I think I started to go into a little bit of shock. So by the time I get to my next hotel back in Swindon, I'm actually going back to my hotel that I stayed at when I was at the Avebury retreat, which had only been like 5 days before. And I get back to my hotel. I'm literally crying on the bathroom floor. My nervous system is going into shock. I'm just in shock. I'm in shock. And there is so much like stress energy that I felt like I just need to get this out of me. And so my guides are like, just take a few deep breaths, drink some water. Like, yes, being stuck at a train station for 7.5 hours is not pleasant for anyone, but you're alive. You're fine. You're in a nice hotel. Like, just relax. And in the morning, go to the stones and the stones will restore you. And so like a week later, from the time that I left Avebury, I'm back at Avebury. I'm back at the stones. It's a beautiful, warm, sunny, summery day. There's such a high frequency. They have no ghosts. Avebury's not trying to keep me, not trying to ensorcel or entrap me. I'm out there at the stones and I'm like, wow, I honestly did not think that I would probably ever come back in my lifetime. But now I'm back just a week later. And I start walking around and touching all of the stones. And the stones are like, just lean against me and we're going to help reset the energy inside of your body. So I lean against these stones and I can just feel them reworking all of the energy in my body. And I realized that this mastery journey, as glamorous as maybe it has sounded to people, as privileged as maybe it has sounded to people, that it was going to come with its own challenges that were going to be mostly energetic. So mostly mental energy and emotional energy. And I stayed out there with the stones for quite a while. And my guides had me go back into one of the crystal shops and get another crystal. And they were like, this crystal is going to help you with receiving, with being able to receive all that is trying to come through to you. But you're so used to giving that the energetic space you've created for receiving is so small. And if you're going to be a master, and if you're going to step into the next level of energy, your energy has to be balanced. At this point, I would say that I was like 30% getting it. The other 70% would come upon reflection, right? It had to be worked through. It had to be understood. It had to be embodied. And so I'm like 30% understanding what it is that they're saying. And this was the day, actually the night before, when I had been crying in the shower. That was when I was introduced to my new mentor, who was and is everything that I could have ever possibly needed at exactly the right moment, at exactly the right point in time, with exactly the right words for me to understand that I had some serious work to do around receiving. That the spaces I was used to receiving from before were very small spaces. Now I'm going to be going to London, to one of the biggest cities in the world. And there's no agenda. There's no purpose. There's no point. There's no to-do list. There's no work to be done there. My guides are like, just go. Just go. You're just going to go and you're just going to go and hang out for a time. And I'm like, I just don't know if I can receive this. I just don't know if I can do this. Like, what should I do? Should I do a bunch of tourist things? What should I do? How should I fill my day? How should I fill out my to-do list? And they're like, there is no to-do list. There is no agenda. Can you just, can you just be? Can you just be there? Can I just be there in one of the biggest cities in the world and just be and not do? Like, are you crazy? So I leave the Avebury stones, and the stones told me this is a closing of your initiation as a grid worker. You are initiated. You are going to know exactly what to do. You're going to be guided to all of the places to do it. but also allow yourself to rest and to receive, because you're being energetically prepared for the next chapter of your journey. And the next chapter of your journey requires the space, the energetic space that you are expanding into through your receiving, because receiving takes space and giving occupies space. And the next chapter of my journey needs all of the space. It can't be completely full and cram-packed with giving. There's going to be a significant portion of it where my job, my role is going to be God mode. Just receive. Purity of intent, closing the loop of creation, God mode, God self. Hold it. Hold the space. Hold the space. Do not try to go immediately into reciprocation and filling the space or trying to pay for the space. Completely hold the space. Well, I would love to tell you that I was at the Stones of Avebury and I just fully ascended and I totally got it and click, click, click and check, check, check. And I am now a master and an expert. No, I went to London and I fell right on my face again. Fell right on my face because I told you when I was at Avebury, I'm receiving all these messages. I'm writing everything down in my journal, but I'm only getting like 30% of it. I just was not expanded enough. I had to go through the actual experience. So I get on a train and I go to London and I go to Paddington Station, which I love saying because the word Paddington has to be the cutest word in the whole world. This was my ongoing joke with myself the whole time I was in England. I'm like, everything is just so freaking cute. Everything is so cute. The houses are so cute. Okay, Paddington Station, that is just so cute. And you just love a little bear. And it's either you're at the bear or you're at the King's Cross Station with Harry Potter. Okay, you got a little wizard and you got a little bear and tea, okay? I just don't understand how colonialism came out of tea and cottages and cute bears. I don't know how that happened because everything is just so freaking cute. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean that I genuinely love it. It is just so freaking cute and it's just such a vibe and I just love it so much. And so, but you can love something and still not allow yourself to receive it, right? So I go to Londinium. I did not know that the Romans named London Londinium all of these years ago, but they did. And I go to London, and it feels like the bigger and the busier the city is, the harder it is for me to receive it. It's like I just want to close to it. I either want to give to it or I want to get away from it. And I had a very challenging first 2 nights there. The first thing I did before I even had a hotel is I dropped off my luggage somewhere and I go to Hyde Park and I start doing grid work, right? I just went straight back to work. It's like you can have all of these conversations about resting and relaxing and receiving. And I was like, I just don't know what to do. I'm going to occupy this time with giving. So I go straight to Hyde Park and I start doing energy work. And energy work doesn't take that much time to do. So it was 2 hours later and it's like, oh, you have to face yourself again and you have to receive this place because now you've already done all of the grid work for the entire London and you included clearing out all of the ghosts and spirits because that might be a problem here like it was in Bath. And so now you're all done. So I had a pretty challenging first 2 days of just receiving the city, receiving the energy, receiving the vibes, just existing in the space. I was so grateful to meet Marianne. And Marianne is a podcast listener, community member. She's been to many of my classes and she lives in London and she's Alice Kingsnorth's mother. And I know a lot of you also know Alice and Alice and me and Haley Curtis, and we're just, we're a group of coaches and online spiritual teachers. So I get to spend this amazing day with Marianne. I mean, Marianne is a violet flame healer, vortex, rainbow light, and you feel it the moment you meet her. And she took me all over the Guildhall. It was incredible. 800-year-old building. My American brain was constantly just could not compute. Okay. Right. So old in my reality is 40 years. If something's 40 years old, wow, that's pretty old. Nope, the building's 800 years old, and we get to go see the Roman ruins underneath the building, and then all of the medieval architecture and some of the kind of early-ish Renaissance stuff that was also there as well. And she's like, there's a toilet for the queen. When the queen was alive, she had her own toilet here, but the only person who can see it is the queen. And I'm assuming whoever cleans the toilet. And, so many things that, of course, to a foreign mind is just, we're just like, wow. The only thing I could say for 3 hours as she's showing me around is, wow. I felt totally illiterate. Wow, wow, wow. We spent this amazing day together, and I got to see so many things that day. That's when I took a ton of pictures, and I go on this long, hour and a half walk, and I'm like, I'm going to walk all the way back to Kensington Hyde Park where I was staying. And I don't recommend. That was way too long. It took me hour and a half is what Google Maps said. But then you stop and you look at stuff. And so really it was 2.5 hours. It's too long. And I didn't realize that at some point on this walk, I had cut my leg and I was bleeding on my leg all the way back across town. And it's starting to get dark. And I don't have a hotel booked because I checked out of my hotel. I didn't like it. I was like, fuck this place. I'll find somewhere else. And it's starting to get dark. So I go and I pick up my luggage and I'm like, I'm just going to find a hotel really quick on my phone. And I go to a Starbucks. The Starbucks is like, we're closing. And I'm like, I really need your Wi-Fi. I get kicked out of Starbucks. Okay, they're closing. And I end up going and finding some Wi-Fi. And it's 9:00 at night. And I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling. And I'm like, I cannot find a hotel that's open. Everything is booked. And right at that moment, Sergey and Maria message me on WhatsApp. And they're like, how are you doing? Tell us how you're doing. I love their love. It's so aggressive. It's like, tell us how you are doing. Tell us what you need. And I can feel that my guides are like, tell them to help you support you with the energy because you're dropping your frequency. Your leg is bleeding. You don't know what to do. You need to get some antibiotics. They don't sell antibiotics here, so you have to figure out what the equivalent is. You need to go to a hotel. You need some water and you need to rest. And so I message them back and I'm like, today is a great day. Right now is really tough moment. If you have some energy that you can send me that is of the frequency, everything working out in my favor, please, I will receive that from you. And Sergey always says this incredible phrase. He says, in the asking, it is given. And so he sends me that message back and I want to start crying, but really I just call my mom. My mom and I are having a renaissance in our relationship from me being on this trip because nothing brings out your need for mom like you being an overly sensitive psychic, on the other side of the world in big cities, feeling totally overwhelmed. So I call my mom and then I get off the phone with my mom and I look back on the Google hotels, whatever it is that I was looking at. And all of a sudden, the hotel that I had walked by twice and thought, wow, I'd really love to stay there, suddenly is open. It was not open before. It was not coming up on the list. It was not showing itself. But in the moment that I asked for help and said, I will receive this from you, Sergey and Maria sent me that energy. The hotel, better than I could have imagined, because at this point I'm thinking I will just take anything, right? It's 9:00 at night. I'll take anything. And in that moment, they sent me such a high frequency of everything working out in your favor, everything working out beyond your wildest dreams, that literally the dream hotel that I had been walking by and thinking I would love to stay there is miraculously somehow has one room that is open. I book this hotel. You guys, it was at the end of the street that I was already on. I could have been anywhere else, but I was perfectly around the corner from it. I book it. I just start walking, me and my luggage rolling down the road, and I stroll in. I get into my room. I collapse because I'm like, this was it was such an emotional stretch from exhaustion, leg is bleeding, don't know what to do, dehydrated, need to eat, need some water, need to lay down, has no hotel, is lugging around luggage around dark London at night, trying to find Wi-Fi, to just a few minutes later in my dream hotel, safe and cozy, drinking water, patching up my leg. Everything is fine. Everything is perfect. So some of you are probably wondering, why do you not just book your hotels in advance? And I do sometimes, but on your mastery journey, you have this challenge called following the light. And at first I didn't realize really what I thought following the light when I started this journey was the light is just going to give you all the answers and then you just do all of the answers. No. The light itself is for you to receive. You are to receive the light, and then things work out for you. But if you are grasping at the light, if you are trying to force things to work the way that you used to do them or the way that you want them to work, then the light is suddenly nowhere to be found because you cannot grab light. You cannot force light. Light is always and forever doing its own thing, which is shining where and when and how it wants to shine. And you either receive that light and allow it, or you pull down the curtains and you block it out. This answer was not given to me when I started my mastery journey. This answer had to be experienced and realized through me on my mastery journey. So I spent a few more days in London. It's incredible. It's beautiful. I think for one day I just slept. I just slept in my hotel room. And during those 3 days, I was really wrestling inside of me. I'm starting to get more clear. I'm starting to move into, okay, this is like 50 to 60% understood by me what is happening. And a lot of the understanding and awareness was thankfully coming from my new mentor, who I had only been with for a week at this point, like less than a week at this point. And a lot of this awareness and understanding about receiving and opening to receive and allowing the receiving is coming in. And I'm like, this is so easy for me when I'm at home. This is so easy for me when I'm in the familiar. But now I'm out here on the other side of the world thinking, because I've never traveled before unless I was a tourist, right? And my guides are like, you're not here to be a tourist. Tourists are doing. They're doing. You are here to be. And this differentiation was having such a hard time just being assimilated into my energy. Especially in big, busy cities, everyone's walking fast, everyone's driving fast, everyone is going somewhere, everyone is moving, everyone is doing. And I am called to simply be. And I went through every high and low of this, trying to negotiate my way through it, trying to negotiate my way out of it, trying to threaten my own self with getting on a plane and going home, which do not recommend. There were so many bargaining and negotiations and all of these stages that I went through, which I know kind of sound like the stages of grief. And I think it was because I think this old version of me was dying and this new version was in the middle of being born. And I went through all of these stages until I finally got it. And one of the stages that I went through was the frustration of time extending. I had never planned to be in Bath for 5 days. I'd never planned to be in London for almost a week. I think I was there for 6 days. I had never planned on any of these things. And normally when you're traveling abroad, you're planning things, right? You have an idea, you have an agenda, you have an outline, you have an itinerary, you have a ticket home, which is really just a way back. to who you were. And so there was this feeling of adrift, and also time keeps extending. Time keeps extending. How long am I going to be here? How long am I going to be here? How long am I going to be here? I know so many of you are like, I would just enjoy it. And you would do all of the things that a tourist does, but I wasn't called to be a tourist. I was called to just be. Yes, I went and saw many things and took many pictures, and I don't have a huge interest in like doing a lot of the tourist things in most cities that I go to, but like I'll take a picture of things or I'll go a place, and I'm much more interested now in people, the people that I can meet there, the people I can connect with. I had this frequency connection with one of the female concierge at my hotel. Her and I, just like me and Maria, staring into each other's eyes. Me and her name was Carmelia, and she was from Italy. And her and I are both like staring into each other's eyes, I was like giving her this frequency activation, and she was so kind to me. And she could tell that I was exhausted. This was the miracle hotel that came through for me. And I know others would say like, why don't you just call someone? Why don't you do this? 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 That's the whole point of what I was there to learn. That doing is not the answer for everything. That there's actually another option, another path. Just being. Pure being. Once I relaxed into pure being, no agenda, no to-do list, no directive of I'm a tourist, let's go do all of the tourist things. Just pure being, just pure following the light, wherever it leads me, and when it's not leading me anywhere, I'm just being. I'm just being. That is when my plans for Edinburgh, which was the beginning of this whole entire journey, started with me just wanting to go for like 4 days to Edinburgh and to see Abraham there. And all of this other journey has been born out of that 5 minutes at an Abraham concert of being like, ooh, I'll go see them in Scotland. But in my pure being, in allowing myself to get to that frequency, everything for my plans in Edinburgh came through perfectly. Perfectly. The perfect place to stay. Yes, ahead of time, not at 9:00 at night. The perfect train ticket at the perfect time, at the perfect place, and it was all perfect. It was a dream. It was beautiful. I've always wanted to take the train from London all the way to Scotland, see all of the countryside, see all of the adorable sheepies, and still be confused how imperialism came out of these cute little sheepies. And getting to see Edinburgh, I mean, it's a city unlike anything else I've ever seen. It is straight out of a movie. In fact, it's straight out of several movies. It was a magical, magical experience. And I really thought I'm going to spend like 5 days here. Like, this is where I wanted the time to expand and expand, right? And it had been expanding in all of these other places where I wasn't allowing myself to just be. And sure enough, 2 days was all that I needed because it was just pure being. I told my guides, I'm not going to think about work. I'm not going to do anything for work. I'm turning off all of my orders, like anything that could cause me to have to do work during this time. I'm turning all of it off. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to do it. And they were like, great. This is so great. This is so great. You're totally getting it. And I get there and it was like 2 days, 2 full days. So it was like a half day and then another half day. Yeah. So like 2.5 days was all that I needed. I saw everything that I wanted to see. I had all the experiences I wanted to have. I even, against my own rules, I even bought a souvenir. And I am so glad that I was not in the agony of receiving by the time that I got to Edinburgh, which is what I really had wanted to see when I went to the UK. I saw how my path in Bath and Swindon and London had all prepared my energy for just pure being. pure being in Edinburgh. And on the last night, I'm sitting up on one of the hills. I mean, it's just an amazing city. I can't even put it into words. On the last night, I'm sitting up on the hill and I'm like, you know what? I do feel like now is the right time to do some grid work and some clearing here. My guides are like, yeah, you've created so much space of receiving and pure being. Go for it. And I did some grid work, 8-point star implantation for the city of Edinburgh, and really for most of Scotland as well. So they can have their own 8-point star. They don't have to share. They have their own 8-point star from Ariel. And of course, I cleared the city of all the ghosts too, because there is some ghosties up in here. It's a hella old city. It is super old. I also cleared their castle as well. The castle up on the hill, and it was super, super dense, a lot of dense energy. And I cleared the whole entire property and all of the buildings. And all of it takes like less than 30 minutes. Just concentration, just energy work, just deploying angelic legions. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated, but I had created enough space to receive the experience that I really wanted to have. And it was a stunning experience. It was incredible. I can't wait to go back and just receive even more from that city. And it has so many offerings. It has so much. You could dig in for days, weeks, months. Just incredible. But I felt full after just a couple of days because I didn't need the time to expand, because the fullness inside of those days, each day had so much space in it. And I'm talking about energetic space, not talking about time, because time is not very spacious. It's energy that can stretch and expand and bend and quantum leap time. And it is energy that can be the manipulator of time. Whereas when you just operate from time, you're locked in. There is no spaciousness. So I use the presence of my energy to open and expand the time and get the time to do whatever it is that I wanted. And I remember even on the last night, I was like, oh, it's only 5 o'clock. It's not going to get dark until 10 p.m. And I still have all of this time, all of this spaciousness, all of this energy, and I can fill it with whatever it is that I want to receive. I felt totally and absolutely complete after those 2 days. I felt like that was everything that I was meant to receive from the city, from the experience. I know I'll be back with more people, and we will expand the energy again, and we will have amazing experiences. But I knew on day 2 that I was there, I was like, tomorrow I'm going to Amsterdam. I can feel it. I can feel that that's where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to go to Amsterdam. And sure enough, there was the perfect flight at the perfect time, the perfect day, and the perfect way. And in fact, there was actually 2 flights. There was a morning one and an evening one. And initially I was leaning towards the evening one because it was coming at a little bit short notice. And I was like, I think if I come in the evening, it'll just kind of give them a little bit more time. And there I go again, trying to control. And my guides were like, the morning flight, it's just perfect. And I was like, all right, I can feel it. I can feel the light guiding me. I can feel the energy guiding me. And so I booked the morning flight, and everything in the morning is just perfectly smooth. I'm there so early, so early. And I get on this flight and I sit down, and I'm not kidding you. Like, I'm a human woman. I was like, maybe there's like a super hot Scottish guy that's going to sit next to me. Like, you're like, yeah, okay, manifesting. And no, there was this tiny little, I think she was Filipino lady. And I do think that she was Scottish, but she was ethnically Filipina lady. And she sits next to me with her husband, and she's so small. And we sit down and buckle our seats, and I close my eyes. My guides are like, the woman next to you has cancer, and she doesn't know it. You have the ability in your mastery to create an auric field in the frequency of wholeness and oneness, and it can heal her. And I look over at her, and she's already closing her eyes. I can tell that she's tired. I can feel that there is an illness in her. I can feel that something is not in that divine perfection of health. And I tell my guides, I've never seen myself as a healer. Let's fucking do it. Let's fucking do it. I have no idea what to do. I'm just going to follow the energy. And they're like, thank the Lord, which is us, that you are finally just going to follow the energy. We create this vortex. I mean, I'm channeling every ounce of oneness and wholeness. That's the frequency of healing. Oneness, wholeness. In the wholeness, no cell can see itself as separate, which is what cancer is. It's some of the cells starting to perceive separation and starting to create separation with the healthy cells. And so they become the unhealthy cells, the diseased cells, as we call them. And really, they are waiting the invitation to be brought back into wholeness. And I created the biggest invitation that I could with my energy, the highest frequency of oneness and light. I mean, I was in total bliss ecstasy in these moments on this flight. And my guide said, because she is inside of your auric field, the consent is already there for her on an energetic level to receive this from you, right? I'm very big on consent. I want to make sure that there is consent. And they said, in fact, everyone on this plane has consented to be here with you, knowing that you hold this frequency. That was the moment when Annie Perry faded away. There was no name, no place, nowhere, no one to be. Just pure energy. That is when I felt myself fully and completely consciously awake with my eyes open as I am that I am. I am the I am presence. In that moment, I felt the energy go into her body. I felt all of the cells reassimilating into divine perfection. Already her eyes are opening. Already I can see that she has more energy coming into her body, that she's starting to feel better. I look over at the guy on the other side of me who's been coughing since we got on, and I just send this energy extended out to him. In less than a minute, he stops coughing. He doesn't cough the entire time. He's sitting there wondering at himself how suddenly the cold that he got on the plane with is gone. There's 3 babies crying at the front of the plane, and I send that energy to them, calming their nervous system, bringing them into divine perfection. All of a sudden, they're laughing, they're giggling, they're playing. There is a woman, one of the grandmothers of the babies. I can see in her energy there is so much fatigue and some lackluster health, and I extend that energy to her, bringing in revitalization for her entire health and her entire well-being. And in that moment, I feel like I am completion. I am complete. It doesn't get any better than this. My guides say, but does it get any better than this? Does it get any better than this? Annie, you didn't notice that the young man sitting in front of you, remember when he came in on the wheelchair? And the assistants had to help lift him up into the seat. It's his spinal column. And I look through and I can just barely see through one of the cracks in the chairs. Oh my God, yes. There's a disabled young man in front of me, came in a wheelchair. The woman sitting in front of me is his caretaker. Maybe his mother. She looks too young. Maybe his sister. She doesn't seem like his partner. She seems like she's probably his older sister, is what I'm feeling and sensing. And she was taking him to Amsterdam on the plane. And I say to my guides, holy shit, holy shit, cancer and colds and crying babies are some amazing things. But someone's spinal column and something that they were born with, whatever healing that he needs or could want or could desire, could receive, that is so beyond my comprehension. And they're like, just relax and let the energy flow through you. And in that moment, I am full surrender because I have learned my lesson about being in resistance. The light language energy and this new form of hand light language starts to come through, and I see in my third eye this reweaving happening through his spinal column. And I'm talking to his higher self, and I'm talking to his spirit guides, and I'm asking them, is this okay? Is this really what he wants? Because sometimes when you come into a lifetime and you either bring with you what we call a disability, right? You bring that with you, or you acquire it in the lifetime. It's something that you wanted. It's your own experience for you to have, for you to learn about yourself. And his guides are like, he is receiving and appreciating this from you. He has wanted and desired healing his whole life. And in this perfect moment, on this perfect plane, he's here sitting inside of your auric field. So the consent is already there. And you are here on this mastery journey, believing in yourself. I have the power to heal anyone, anywhere, anything, because I am. And I just fully surrendered to this reweaving energy of light that was going through his spinal column. All that his guides and my guides and the I Am presence is doing through me for him. Things I don't understand, things he probably doesn't understand. And I went all the way until I passed out. I think the energy was so intense that it just kind of zapped me out. But they kept working. Even through all the way until the end of the plane ride. It's only an hour-long plane ride. Edinburgh to Amsterdam, 1 hour. They kept working. And right before we landed, they told me, we are complete. It is finished. It is done. He's going to heal and recover completely in 3 to 6 months. One of the questions that my guides, myself, asked me during my own coherency healing in Tosa with the Family of Light group was, can you be a living miracle? And in that moment, I thought, it's too much. I cannot be a living miracle. And yet, over the next 3 weeks in the UK, as I'm learning and expanding and falling on my face and getting back up again and expanding the energy and believing in myself and trusting myself and receiving something bigger than I have ever known before, which is I am. Somewhere along the way, I realized I am a living miracle. And every single one of us has the ability to remember that about who we are. It's a choice. Somewhere in all of that fucking mess, in all of those good times, in all of those high highs and those low lows, in all of the moments of doubting and contracting and expanding and believing, somewhere along the way, I made the choice to remember I am a living miracle. And if you come in my presence, if you come back to this remembrance, if you come back home to this frequency, you might just remember this about yourself too. A living miracle is who we are. Miracle frequency is our home frequency. It's where we come from. It's where we're going back to. That was the moment that I decided to drop the label psychic channel, and I decided that it needed to be deeper. It needed to be wider. It needed to be more expansive. And I shifted it to I am a conduit of light. In this moment, it feels like those words are the only ones that can describe or contain the frequency that I feel called to hold, to be, to channel through me. And when the thought arises, who am I to do this? Who am I to heal these people? Who am I to call myself a conduit of light? Who am I to call myself I am? The I am presence. Who am I to call myself God? Who am I to have a God self, God frequency? And without fail, every single time, the answer is, who am I not? Who am I not? If I say I am all things, then who am I not? And I have no answer for that question, because I chose to remember that I am all that is. Years ago, in 2020, one of the first things I asked my guides when I could channel, when I was getting tiny little divine downloads, I said, what is my name? What is my soul's name? And they said, you are Aya. And I said, amazing. What is Aya? And they said, Aya means all that is. You are Aya. You are all that is. So who am I to be a living, walking, talking miracle, to heal others, to be in miracle frequency, to be in God frequency? The answer is I am all that is. Who am I not? For I am all that is. And you too have the choice to remember this about yourself. You are Aya. You are all that is. You are a living, walking, talking miracle. If you so choose to allow the energy to flow through you, if you so choose to remember who you really are. If you felt inspired by this episode, I hope that you will take a moment to share it with a friend. It would mean the absolute world to me. I create these episodes when I feel called to give, and I am always open to receiving your love, gratitude, and appreciation. And I thank you for being here, for listening, and for receiving. Beautiful beings of divine light, you already know that I will see you on the next one.